Man, Cowboys fans are really starting to believe that George Pickens might be the spark. This offense has been missing, and honestly, I kind of get it. You watch his tape, and there's just this raw, aggressive style to his game. He plays with that edge, that fire, like he's constantly got something to prove. He's got that alpha mentality you want in a number one receiver, fearless at the catch point, physical after the grab, and always looking to make the big play. Now, of course, there's still a bit of uncertainty about the off-field stuff. I mean, character concerns pop up anytime a player has that fiery edge, right? But if there's any environment that can keep him focused, it's got to be under a coach like Mike Tomlin or with a leader like Dak Prescott. And if a guy can't make it work with those kinds of voices around him, then yeah, maybe the problem's bigger than just football. What excites me about Pickens in Dallas isn't just the highlight plays, it's the fit. This Cowboys offense has been missing that dominant X-receiver who can command attention and win own matchups on the outside. CeeDee Lamb is that dude in the slot and over the middle, but imagine him not having to carry the whole load. Adding a player like Pickens on the perimeter changes the whole picture. It opens things up for the rest of the offense, makes life easier for the quarterback, and forces defenses to pick their poison. That's the kind of addition that doesn't just fill a need, it elevates everyone around him. Now, shifting gears a little, let's talk about the quarterback situation in Dallas. And a question that keeps coming up: what about drafting a quarterback and letting him sit behind Dak for a year or two? It's an old school approach, sure, but it's one I actually believe in. Not every rookie QB needs to be thrown into the fire right away. In fact, some of the best careers have started with a season or two on the bench, learning the playbook, adjusting to the speed of the game, and figuring out what it means to be a pro. You look at someone like Jordan Love, sat behind Aaron Rodgers, developed quietly, and now Green Bay is handing him the keys. That's not just patience, that's planning. And for a franchise like the Cowboys, that kind of long-term thinking actually makes a lot of sense. They're not a team that likes to go all in for one single season, not like the Rams or the Niners. They play the long game, for better or worse. So if you're thinking 2 years down the line when Dak's contract situation could get messy and he's got a history of injuries you can't ignore, maybe this is the time to start grooming the next guy. Whether it's someone like Joe Milton or a mid-round flyer with upside, that's a move. That's about building sustainable success, not about this year or next, about the future. Now, of course, not every fan sees it that way. Some people want to use every pick to win now, and that's valid too. But I always go back to this: great franchises have quarterbacks in the pipeline. They're never caught off guard when it's time to turn the page. They've got someone ready, someone familiar with the system, someone who isn't walking into chaos. The worst place you can be in the NFL is desperate for a quarterback with no plan in place. Dallas can avoid that, but they've got to start thinking ahead sooner rather than later. Speaking of planning ahead, let's address the elephant in the room. How long is it going to take before the Cowboys finally make it to an NFC championship again? I mean, we're talking literal decades here. There are fans who have gone from childhood to parenthood without seeing this team play in a conference title game, and yeah, I get the frustration. Every season starts with hope. Every offseason there's hype, and then somewhere between December and January it all unravels. So what happens if they load up on free agents finally and it still doesn't work? Let's say they bring in big names, spend real money, make moves that actually show they're serious, and still fall short. Then what? Well, that's when the narrative shifts. That's when it stops being about the front office and starts being about the guys on the field. No more Jerry doesn't spend. No more Stevens the cautious. It becomes Dak can't win the big one. It becomes Micah disappears in the playoffs. It's harsh, but that's the way it goes when ownership does its job. The spotlight moves to the locker room, and that's the danger for players when management finally steps up. Expectations shift. Pressure increases. There's nowhere to hide. And for some guys, that's a blessing. It brings out their best. For others, it exposes them. So yes, signing the right guys is important, but delivering in the postseason is what really matters. That's where legacies are made or broken. Now, I want to be optimistic. I really do. But this franchise hasn't exactly earned that benefit of the doubt lately. They're saying the right things. They've made a few good moves. But being aggressive in free agency once doesn't erase 20 years of half measures. So the question becomes, is this year finally different, or is this just another chapter in the same old story? And that brings me to the defense. Let's talk about that second-round pick Donovan Ezerwaku, the edge rusher out of Boston College. I was stunned he fell to Dallas. If you had told me back in March that he'd be there in round 2, I would have laughed. He was in early second round. Grade for me borderline first, so to get him where they did, that's a steal. But let's pump the brakes a little on the Micah Parsons comparisons. I get the excitement, I love the potential, but Micah is on a whole different level. He's generational. I hate using that word because it gets thrown around way too much, but in this case it fits. Micah's production through his first few seasons is something we've only seen from a handful of players in NFL history. It's not fair to put that kind of expectation on anyone, let alone a rookie edge. Taken in the second round, let Donovan be Donovan. If he gives you 10 sacks a year and solid edge play, that's a win. That's incredible value. But trying to make him Parsons to 0.0 is setting him up to fail before he even takes a snap. Let's jump over to the secondary for a second, because man, that cornerback room in week 1 could be real shaky, with Trevin Diggs and Eric Scott both recovering. There's a real possibility that guys like Kyle Elam and Darren Bland have to hold it down on the outside, and then you've got to figure out who's playing nickel. Maybe Izzy Mukuamu, maybe one of the rookies. It's not ideal. Not when you're facing receivers like A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith right out of the gate. Bland's probably the most consistent corner you've got right now. He can hold up inside or outside, and if you're planning to kick him back to nickel when Diggs gets healthy, that's fine. But it's not a great situation to be in early in the year. You're asking a lot from guys who haven't proven much, and that's always a gamble, especially when one of them is coming off an ACL and the other to haven't exactly lit it up in camp. I get fans being nervous about this. Secondary, I am too, and it doesn't help that Dallas hasn't exactly had a great track record rehabbing guys from major injuries. You look at Terrence Steele, Gallup, Diggs, all of them took longer than expected to get back to form, and in some cases they still haven't. Maybe that's just how it goes with ACLs and major knee issues. Maybe I've underestimated how tough it really is to return to peak level after those injuries. But whatever it is, it's become a pattern, and it makes projecting the health of this team a lot harder than it should be. So yeah, we're hoping guys like Sam Williams take that next step. We're hoping someone like Mozzie Smith turns into the player we drafted him to be, but hope isn't a strategy. And the longer this front office leans on optimism instead of insurance, the more likely it is we're sitting here again in January wondering what went wrong. That said, if you could make just one addition to this roster before the season kicks off, what position would you target for me? It's got to be a big run-stuffing one tech. I'm talking about a real space eater in the middle of the line, someone who can anchor against the run and keep the linebackers clean, because I don't have a ton of faith in Mozzie Smith right now. And the depth behind him even shakier. Give me a veteran nose tackle, somebody like Andrew Billings if he's still out there, and I'd feel a whole lot better about this front seven. And finally, I've got to say, for all the Madden simulations and off-season chatter, nothing matters until they actually get out there and play the games. This team has the pieces, it has the stars. What it doesn't have is a recent track record of putting it all together when it counts. That's the missing link. That's what they have to prove. But before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Dallas Cowboys. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. Whispers are swirling around Dallas as news breaks of Micah Parsons suffering an injury during a recent Cowboys practice. While details remain sketchy, the timing couldn't be more dramatic for the star linebacker, whose presence on the field has been pivotal to Dallas' defensive success. The question now buzzing among fans and analysts alike is, how serious is this setback? And what could it mean for the Cowboys season? Parsons, known for his explosive speed and relentless pursuit, has been a cornerstone in Dallas' defensive schemes. His ability to disrupt plays, pressure quarterbacks, and make game-changing tackles has made him one of the NFL's most exciting young defenders. Any hint of an injury naturally raises eyebrows, considering the physical demands of his role and the depth the Cowboys will need on defense moving forward. Sources close to the team have been tight-lipped, fueling speculation rather than quelling it. Some insiders hint that Parsons may have experienced a strain or minor setback, while others suggest it could be more significant, potentially sidelining him for several weeks. The Cowboys medical staff has reportedly begun a thorough evaluation, but no official statement has been released. This silence only adds to the intrigue and concern enveloping the team. The timing of the injury is particularly notable as Dallas is gearing up for a critical stretch in their schedule. Losing Parsons even briefly could force defensive coordinator Dan Quinn to rethink his game plans and rely more heavily on less experienced players. Could this be the moment where new defensive stars emerge, or will it expose vulnerabilities in The Cowboys defensive line fans are already speculating on social media debating how this injury might affect Dallas' playoff chances. Some remain optimistic, confident that Parsons will bounce back quickly, citing his past resilience and work ethic. Others worry about the potential domino effect on the team's morale and performance without one of their key defensive anchors. Meanwhile, rival teams might be quietly eyeing the situation as an opportunity. Parsons' absence could tip the scales in close matchups, making games against the Cowboys even more fiercely contested. Will opposing offenses capitalize on his potential absence, or will Dallas find new ways to compensate? For now, all eyes remain on Micah Parsons and the Cowboys' medical team. The weeks ahead will be critical in determining whether this injury is a minor hiccup or a more serious challenge. Until then, the rumor mill will continue spinning, with fans, analysts, and rivals alike watching closely to see how this developing story unfolds. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Dallas Cowboys, please subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. We always look forward to your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.